Welcome back. I'm Jeff Boudreau, Executive Director of Power and Systems, here to talk to you about some of the main concepts from the organization workshop. Today, we're going to take a look at what does Door B look like when you're top, and how can we avoid the reflex action of sucking up responsibility to ourselves and away from everybody around us, and instead focusing on creating responsibility throughout the organization. So I want to challenge you to think about those situations, those settings in which you're top, whether it's managing a project or a team or whatever other context you end up in the top space. And we're going to ask you to really think about and be sensitive to those times when you have a tendency to suck up responsibility to yourself. In fact, let's take a minute to look at the downside of that, because actually sometimes sucking up responsibility is exactly the right thing to do. But all too often, there are some negative consequences that come out of that as well. Number one, we end up becoming burdened and stressed. Number two, we often find ourselves working on the wrong stuff, the things that we don't actually have to be involved in. Others can handle that. And number three, oftentimes we find ourselves not able to work on the things that truly are the best use of our talents and our experience. We're working on the wrong things. And if that wasn't bad enough, number four, we gradually disable the organization around us if we suck up responsibility to ourselves too much. When we suck up things to ourselves, we're actually depriving the others around us of the opportunity to take risks, to learn, to grow, to contribute to the organization. And when we do need their talents, well, we've trained it out of them. So this week's tip for you when you're a top is try Door B. Whenever you find yourself tempted to suck it up, step back and force yourself to think about, how can I involve others productively? The payoffs will be felt immediately. You'll feel less burdened, you'll feel less alone, and you'll also be able to leverage greater brain power from all the people around you in the organization. I've worked with many organizations and many leaders all over the world on the challenges of the top space. It's so easy to slip into that reflex action of sucking up responsibility to yourself and away from the other parts of the organization. Well, I have a tip for you, and that is to develop your replacement. As soon as you find yourself in the top space, what you want to do basically is identify what are those things that only you can do today, but you could develop that ability in someone else. A great example of this challenge is Barry Oshry himself. At one point, our founder was the only person who could deliver the organization workshop. And he was frustrated that his work wasn't spreading more globally the way he had envisioned, until, ironically, he realized he was standing in his own way. So he set about making it a priority to train others, to certify others to do what, at that point, only he could do. Now, years later, there are over 800 people worldwide who are expert at delivering the organization workshop to the organizations they serve. So that's the principle, to create responsibility throughout the system. So the opportunity is to identify one specific situation in which you have the tendency to suck up responsibility to yourself. And as you work to involve others, pay attention to a few things. Notice what types of conversations you get into. Notice how people respond to the invitation to contribute. Notice what you're gaining from the situation, and notice what new ideas come up as a result of you involving others. So that's the challenge for this week. Good luck, and remember to be the top who spreads responsibility throughout the system.